Hello, welcome to Revelator Alpha. Hope you're all well. So, this is a Friday night, Friday evening here in the UK, a live show, video, podcast, radio show, whatever you want to call it. So, I'm going to be talking about bikes. I'm going to be talking about new bikes, Indian motorcycles, some new products on the market, some latest sort of industry news, but some kind of big news that's come out of Harley Davidson this week and today as well. So I'm going to cover that a little bit later on, the Harley Davidson bit. But first, we're going to go into straight into it. No messing around tonight, just into a little bit of news. So, a lot of this has come from the industry press this week, and it's interesting actually that a lot of these stories that they've been around for a while. They haven't been hiding, as it were. It isn't brand new. They've been around for a while, and it's good to see that these stories are coming to the surface, and some of the things that were talked about months ago, actually, they're out and about right now. So, look, I'm going to get straight into it now here. So, one of the first things I want to talk about here, let me just open this up. The first story really comes from um, more bikes as well, and it's about Norton Motorcycles. They've basically started with well, their extension of their line, as it were. So they've got the V4RR that's coming out as well in a cafe race and everything. But this is all about the Commando 961, which is actually being shipped out to more and more markets now. And I think India was the latest one. Obviously, Norton now owned by TVS from India as well. This story of people starting to get their 961s, the new version, as it were, under the TVS logo or the TVS management. This actually came out about 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago. I think it was a British guy who actually received the very first one. I think it could be about 3 months ago now, but obviously they're starting to ship them out more and more. I mean, it looks nice. I mean, I always thought that the Commando from Norton looked nice anyway. But they're starting to ship them out more and more, and well, fair dues to them. Well, that's all I can say. But it looks really nice. It's got that cafe sort of racer style to it as well, and uh, well, I mean, more bikes. I mean, they go into the more detail here. I mean, there are two variants here: the SP and the CR, which is the cafe racer. Cafe racer would be this one on the left, which is the silver one, and then the SP is on the right hand side. Yeah, nice looking bikes, some good figures there as well. Two variants are priced, well, £16,499, £16,999. So they're not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. But look, they're coming out with 76.8 brake horsepower, 81 newton meters at 6,300 RPM. So it's 43 mil Olins, upside down forks at the front, adjustable for preload, compression, or rebound damping. At the rear, Commando runs a twin shock setup, again with fully adjustable Olins. The Brembo brakes as well. So I mean, they look nice. They look nice. That's all I can say. So if you're in the market for a Norton, then then this could be for you, of course. I mean, like I say, they're not my kind of favorite go-to bike, I would say, but I've always liked Norton as in this style. I was very interested in what they would be bringing out with the new sports bike, as it were, and how the direction the company would go. But look, it's good that they're starting to bring out their bikes. A lot of these are kind of, I suppose, they're revamping the old designs or reworking the old designs as well. Hey, listen, I will try and get into the comments later as we go as well, but I really want to crack on with some of these news items as well. Okay, so the next story coming from the airwaves, as it were, is this one here. This is basically Royal Enfield, and again, this is from Visor Down. Royal Enfield. What can I say about Royal Enfield? I'm a big fan of Royal Enfield anyway. A big fan of their products, big fan of their price point as well. But here they're being reported that they're looking at they got some new bikes coming out, Royal Enfield, and for 2023, and they're looking at the feasibility of this Royal Enfield Continental GT 650 R Cafe Racer, the 650 engine. They're going to be putting in more and more bikes, but look at Cafe Racer. So this is like a very much a the flavor, isn't it, of a lot of these retro style bikes as well. But the 650 engine, they're looking at putting it in various models. Obviously, the Himalayan adventure motorcycle, they're expecting for a long time to have this engine as well. And they got a Super Meteor 650 Cruiser, the Shotgun 650 Bobber over the coming months. So there's a lot of bikes from Royal Enfield with this 650 engine. That's the one they're pushing. And this kind of cafe racer style is, well, it's all the rage. And say, if you like that, nice price point, and it's the cafe racer style you're looking for. Personally, I mean, if I were a buying man, as it were, I would go for the Royal Enfield over the Norton. Certainly on price point alone, and certainly looks wise as well. But there we go. I mean, that's just me. That's something. But certainly go and have a look at these sites. Go and have a look at Visordan and all the websites that I'm looking for. And I'm trying to promote them as well. Okay, so the next site, again from Visordan, again big news on the CF Moto from China, coming out with new bikes all the time. You expect this. You've got to expect this more and more now. Sorry, there we go, wrong one. There we go. The Chinese manufacturers are coming out more and more with bigger engine, more advanced bikes now, more bikes that are really going to compete with other bikes on the market as well, especially the Japanese, especially Indian bikes, and especially others as well. But look, they are producing some decent bikes, some new models, new patents coming out as well. So look, and again, it's going to come down to price points as well. But again, this is for the next generation CF Moto 800 NK. Will stay true to the striking NK C22 concept. So these are the pictures of the concept bike. The 800 NK will kind of have lots of features on here as well, and it's going to be the CF Moto NK Roadster. So there's lots of other concept bikes as well, lots of other features that went into other bikes as well. But I say, nice. I mean, if you're looking into the modern roadster at price point as well, yeah, I would say this CF Moto. I was really impressed with CF Moto at last year's bike shows as well, what they could offer. So look, this could be one for you if you're in that marketplace as well. Okay, the next the next story I want to talk about here is this story from the tragic death of Harry Dunn in the UK. This happened in 2019, and basically what's happened, big news that came out last night, was that the lady that actually knocked him over, or was alleged or accused of knocking him over, she's an American citizen. She was coming out of a US military base here in the UK, I believe. Her husband was a serving officer there or something, and basically she fled the country on diplomatic immunity or something like that. So it's been a long struggle for them to get some kind of acknowledgement by this lady, who appeared by video link into the UK High Court. And she admitted the guilt there as well. So where this goes from now, I do not know, but certainly some final justice for the death of Harry Dunn, who was unlawfully killed. But I think it's more for the fact as well that she fled the scene, and she she hid behind sort of some kind of diplomatic immunity, hid behind the American government as well. That it just wasn't on, really. If you commit a crime, if you do something wrong, you got to go there and you got to face the music, whatever it is. In my opinion, you don't just sort of fled, especially when you're knocking down, and killing. Yes, whether intentional or not, that's not. I don't think there was any intention there. But again, it's a case of, just being responsible and and for your actions, I think. So I'm a great believer in that. Okay, so the next thing here is, wow. Do you know what? I'm not going to show it's an Indian forum, but I was searching around for latest Indian news, and this is what's coming out now. Of this story's been going on for a long, long time. Lots of people have always talked about Harley Davidson in terms of the availability of bikes, availability of parts, and lots of people always compare them to other motorcycle manufacturers, of course. And I've been doing that myself as well. But there's been a strong belief in recent years that Indian motorcycles are, they have been coming on strong. They provide a better product, they provide a better service, so on and so forth. The problem is that, as we know, Indian don't have the dealership network. They don't have the service network that Harley Davidson do, but they could do if Polaris, the parent company, just bothered to put more Indian dealerships at their Polaris outlets, especially in the United States, where they're huge. But it seems that Indian are short on bikes. They're short on delivery as well. There are lots of stories where Indian dealerships, they're saying to customers, you need to put in early orders to have any chance of getting anything. But the big story here for me, which I was blissfully unaware of, is the black paint, the black bikes. They have a problem in particular with the black bikes. And it's not so much the black bikes that they've got in stock or had in stock or already in the chain. It's actually producing more black bikes. And would you believe it's got something to do with black paint, the availability of black paint? Now, I am not sure. I have no idea whether this is a bona fide story. But if you go onto the Indian forums, and these are latest posts from mid-August, these were people were claiming this, and they're saying that black paint shortage all over the world. Now we know there's lots of issues in terms of availability of microchips and supply chains and everything. I've reported on that and said it in relation to Harley Davidson, but obviously it applies to all manufacturers, as I've said as well. And this is about Indian. Not only are they not producing as many bikes because of the issues as well, but they also can't even paint them up because there's a shortage of black paint. I find that incredible. I've got to say, I find that really. Now, I don't know if that is a true story, but if you do know anything about that, let us know in the comments or in the chat later on. As I say, and I'll try and dig into some of those comments later on as well. But as I say, Indian motorcycles, I say there is a shortage there, just like anybody else. I mean, I'm actually going to go to an Indian dealership next week as well and just have a good old mooch around. I'm going to try and make a video or two from there and show you what's what, or my experiences of a UK-based Indian dealership. And I'm hopeful for nice things. I'm hopeful for good times, really. And if I can get on a bike or two, I'd love to go and ride them. I've always been fascinated by Indians, not necessarily by the looks, but certainly by the performance. But certainly just to get up close and personal. Unfortunately, my preference of all the Indian bikes are the dark horse, the black bikes, really, and those are the ones I like. So it'd be very interesting to see if one of their Taurus or one of their ones that's got the bags or anything appeals to me, and what the availability of those would be. So I'll let you know what I find out. But interesting, very interesting with Indian motorcycles there. But my I would lean towards this bike, the Chieftain here. I think the challenge is a bit too much. I kind of like this Springfield, this Dark Horse Springfield. I must say, if I had some kind of windshield on there as well. This Springfield looks very similar to me to the Harley Davidson Road Glide anyway. They all look very similar, don't they, in many ways? But I think the Scout 20, Scout Bobbers, the FTR, I'm a big fan of as well. So look, I do have a lot of time for Indian motorcycles. I'm just not sure of the styling of a lot of it. A lot of it is still leftover Victory styling as well, design features, but obviously they've come out with their own stuff more and more in the last couple of years. Okay, let's get on to the next story here, which is again interesting one for me. This comes from Nigeria, would you believe, of all countries, and their publication Punch here, or Punching, oh no, sorry, Punch NG, Punch Nigeria. However, there are lots and lots of lots and lots of publications who are reporting this as well. And this is all about BMW. Now, BMW motorcycles, I should say. Now, what they've had some kind of issue with their K1600 and K1600 GT motorcycles, and these are the ones that are produced between 28th of June 2017 and the 19th of September 2018, and it's due to faulty shock absorbers, which again I find really really interesting. Now, why this is a particular issue in Nigeria, why I haven't actually been able to see any other countries that this is applicable to, and it's also to do, I think, possibly where these motorcycles were shipped to and the parts where they were made. And according to, and let me just get rid of that, according to the article here, it is something where, according to the memo circulated by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, this is in Nigeria, of course, the BMW China Automobile Trading Company Limited disclosed that the withdrawal of the motorbikes started from the 7th of September 2022. So there is something there. Now, whether it was the Chinese production of these particular shock absorbers that was an issue, if they were only produced for the Nigerian market or for the African market, who knows? It's an interesting one here. But as I say, it's BMW. You always look at BMW, as I say, as being some kind of a leader in technicalities and also technical prowess, and also in quality, but I've known this from other people I know who have had BMW GSs of rear shock absorber issues as well. In particular, I'm not sure about front fork issues as well, but by many reports that they've had issues with them over various different models. Now, is it a large scale issue? Who knows? I have no idea. But say if you know anything about that, if you've had any experience of that, if you've got a K1600 or K1600 GT, wherever you are in the world, let us know. Leave it in the comments below. Let us know if you've had any issues and what the actual issue was, because I say it's quite unclear here. It just says they've been recalled and they're not going to be sold anymore, and there's some kind of problem with them, but it doesn't actually go into say what it is. Okay, the next story here is about Honda. Honda, and again from Visor Down, this one. Honda motorcycles have come out with a patent for their Transalp here as well, and it's not so much the Transalp motorcycle, which looks pretty good. I reported on this a couple of weeks ago, but it's this new technology which is basically a forward-facing camera. And you would think, well, a forward-facing camera, who cares, as it were? Who cares about a forward-facing camera? And I would kind of tend to agree with you, right? But this is actually more to do with what the camera can do, or what the feed from the camera, the sensor, what it actually affects on the motorcycle as well. So it's not only a camera in the traditional sense, but it's also a sensor as well. And it's how it relates to future onboard systems or current onboard systems on this motorcycle, or any other motorcycle that Honda choose to have this on there as well. So a very interesting piece here, as I say, from Visor Down here. And as I say, they've been doing a good job, I've got to say. I've been quite impressed with Visor Down recently on their products, their product reporting, their news reporting. But rumors of the Transalp revival began a while ago, as I reported. But we know now they're coming out with some of the details. Here we go. Where is it? I've forgotten where it actually said. Here it was. So they got the new reporters report, the first of the specification, the upcoming Transalp. I've lost the actual part now. It was something to do where they're actually feeding the they're feeding the data from the camera, and it's a little bit like an iPhone type camera. It's not a lens in the traditional sense. It's built up a lot of sensors, and that information is going to be into early warning sensors on the bike, so it would anticipate your brakes according to the traffic flow, anticipate traction control according to the road conditions, the weather conditions. There's lots of things that it could be tied into as well. So interesting development, interesting technology, and it'd be interesting to see how this technology is then moved on into other motorcycles from Honda, but also if other manufacturers start to come out with other products like that. The technology is already there. The technology, it's not necessarily it's brand new technology in the grand scheme of things, but how they're using it on Honda here, yeah, I think that's quite interesting there. Okay, so let's have a look at the next issue here. Very quick story now, and this is all about Goodyear tires here in the UK, and I think that they're an American-based company, aren't they? But Goodyear, they're basically closing down a plant here in the UK, and they're going to go for moving it to now where are they moving it to? They're moving it to France, I believe. Yeah, so they're moving it all. Is this going to be a new product? Is going to They're investing 16.5 million euros in the Montluçon or Montluçon motorcycle tire production, and they're basically shutting down the UK manufacturing there as well. And what they're doing, they're transforming their tire production into motorcycle tire production. So look out for more motorcycle tires from Goodyear, and potentially at a better price point, or they're going to be looking at these for the European market more. But as I say, look out for those and see what you think. Okay, what are we talking about? What are we talking about now? Let's see. It's an interesting one, and there we go. I've got a new graph. So this is all to do about electric motorcycles, and I want to quickly cover this. There's a few manufacturers I want to go through, but a lot of the press this week has been talking about electric motorcycles in particular, but also electric modes of transport, and the feasibility of whether they're value for money, and also going into the future and comparing them to internal combustion engines. And then they're looking at government tariffs and everything. So there's lots of stories out there, not only from Visor Down, but lots of other press. So wherever you're on the world, I'm sure you'll find stories like this if you start digging around and reading in magazines as well. But the interesting thing here from the UK is that a company that I kind of really like all their bikes is Maving. I first saw them at a show last year, featured them on the channel, different videos. There's actually a chap around here where I live. He rides one of these. I've sort of seen it riding around, I should say, and it's kind of retro cool. I kind of really like them. And electric bikes too, they got the option of to carry 2 batteries on there as well. I believe the tank is a dummy tank, and you can actually store a battery in there as well. I think they're the interchangeable batteries that a lot of the manufacturers are going to try and adopt for especially the smaller bikes as well. You got limited range, of course, so they're not the fastest bikes, but these are not meant for that. These really are urban bikes, cool bikes, short distances, whatever. Price point isn't that bad for an electric bike, I've got to say, of what I can tell as well. I'm sure you start adding all the extras on and everything, it becomes quite an expensive proposition. However, the story here is that Maving have opened up in London the Battersea Power Station that once was. They've converted it into a huge sort of retail area and a cool, hot happening retail area. But Maving have opened up a shop there, opened up a boutique or a pop-up shop, pop-up store. And it's good marketing, I would say, that they've gone into the big city, got into a hot and happening area. They're a cool, very cool brand or looking brand. They got a nice little following going on. They got getting a lot of attention from the press and certainly from people like me. You know, I've already bigged them up in previous videos and last year. So again, and I'll be interested to see them. I might pop along there myself and have a little ride in on the Harley, and go and check them out to Battersea. But as I say, it's yeah, very interesting that they've done this. They've gone through a little pop-up shop, totally unconventional. Now, you know, I go through quite a few of the big shopping centres in London on my travels, and it's quite interesting. There are quite a few automobile manufacturers. They have these pop-up boutique shops. They might have one or two cars in there, one or two motorcycles, usually cars that I've seen, and yeah, they look good, and they're just generating interest. Whether they're actually having sales there, but they're just generating interest. People walking by, you know, in the traditional way. That's, you know, somebody might, or let's say one of the couple might go off and do some shopping. The other one is thinking, well, you know, don't really want to go shopping. Oh, look, you know, there's a car for me to go and have a look at. You know, that kind of thing. And this is the bike. You know, it's urban travel, cool urban travel. Yeah, why not? I get it. You know, I really get it. And I say I'm a big fan of Maving as well. So there we go. The next story here, and again on the electric bike theme as well, the Zero motorcycles, they have, or they will be opening up on the 29th, I believe it is, of this month, their first UK dealership, and it's in North London as well. And I'm going to try and pop along for that, and you know, get some stories there for you. But the big news here is that they are launching the DSR X, which is basically this electric adventure motorcycle. And again, it looks great. It looks great. And I've done a bit of background research on this, on Zero and Zero motorcycles themselves. And look, I'm really interested in that. I mean, the price point is quite expensive. You know, we are talking. I can't remember how much they are, but quite a substantial amount. Certainly sort of 16, 17,000, I think. But then when you start adding on the extras, and the extras, you know, for the higher boost charger and everything like that, this is, you know, it can get quite expensive. Now, the one thing I want to draw your attention to, whilst I really like the design of this electric bike and its capability, and we can talk about range and everything like that, and I'll possibly feature it in a video in the future when I go and ride it, because I'm booked in to actually go and ride the thing as well. Would you believe? So I'm really excited about that. Really excited. Really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to go and see their dealership as well, and see what they got to offer, and speak to a few people. You know, grease a few palms, all that kind of stuff. But for me, the interesting thing is that they've got existing technology, and I talked about this a few weeks ago about KTM. KTM have this, you know, new sort of marketing policy where they'll sell you a bike and you've got certain features on it, electronic features mostly. And after about a year, they switch those electronic features off, but you'll have to pay extra or pay a subscription to keep them on. Well, similar kind of thing here, in that Zero motorcycles already have these features, electronic features on the bike, and you basically you have to pay extra to have these features added to your bike, and a lot of it is to do with power distribution or power output and everything like that. Now, different models have different levels, and they have basically an app, this Connect app, which you will be able to switch buy on the fly, as it were, your increased performance or your increased capability, whatever it is. But obviously you're paying quite a lot extra for this as well. Now, bearing in mind what I've said before, that a lot of articles over the last sort of couple of months, they're talking about the feasibility of electric bikes, electric vehicles, and how expensive it is to charge these things now, on the fly, on the go, as opposed to away from your house. Energy prices going up and up. If you go around the world, lots of different areas, some places in like United States, California, they've been asking people not to charge their electric vehicles if they can help it, because the whole infrastructure can't handle it, can't handle the increased energy demands. Here in the UK, we're facing or potentially facing energy disruption, power cuts throughout the winter months as well. So it's a whole discussion being taken place, and whether electric bikes or electric vehicles are really the way to go. And because if you can't charge them, what's the point? Or if it's too expensive to charge, then what's the point as well? So the two is still too expensive, or they're still expensive, or most of them are. But they are getting cheaper, especially the smaller ones are definitely getting cheaper. The likes of Maving are, I think, as I say, in a decent outfit, and they seem to be coming in on a better price point. Some of the Japanese and Chinese obviously producing electric bikes now. They will be producing more and more. But say the Zero, I'm a big fan of Zero. So they're kind of the market leaders in terms of this sort of stuff. But it's the way that they're charging you extra for things that are already on the bike. And you would think, well, why don't you just have these already on the bike? Why don't you say, if you're going to charge that much for a bike anyway, why don't you just already have it as an item? But as I say, in terms of the looks, yeah, traditional it kind of looks a little bit Himalayan to me, a Royal Enfield Himalayan from this angle here. But I like it. I like the look of it from this angle. It doesn't look Himalayan at all. It's completely different. So there are different variants as well, and different bikes and different looks to it. But as I say, these are Zero motorcycles, DSR X. This is like previous incarnations, and this is it's gone on to the next level now. And this is what the Zero motorcycles are. I mean, I'll be very interested to see. But as I say, interested to see what the price point is, what the UK price is as well, what the European price is, but also what the additional cost is and the range and how it actually feels as well. Okay. The next story here is from Damon. Now, this is Damon Motorcycles again. They look amazing, don't they? The Canadian motorcycle company. And here is the interesting thing here for me. Beautiful bikes, look beautiful bikes. They've been talked about for a long, long time here. But it's basically they're saying that they've already got 3,500 pre-sale orders here worth $90 million. And these are for the Hypersport electric sports bikes. I mean, a Hyper Fighter Naked bike. Look, Damon Motors announced it hit 90 million in pre-sale orders. It's boasting 200 horsepower, 200 mile per hour top speed, and a 200-mile range from its hyperdrive electric power unit. I mean, big claims. They've made big claims about this, Damon. But as I say, I'm a big fan of the styling, big fan in the capability. But obviously, you got to look at price point, just like the Arc Vector here in the UK. I think is 90, 100,000 pounds. How much these are going to be, who knows? Yeah, big thanks. But they have been trying to develop this bike for a number of years now, and well, it looks as if you can put your order in and away you go. But as I say, I'll let you look at the actual websites itself, Damon and Visor Down, and all these websites as well. As I say, but they've been coming out with some decent stories the last couple of days. Okay. That's all the bike news out of the way. That's all the electric bike news out of the way. Let's just talk about these. Right, Harley Davidson motorcycles here. This is the grand story of the week here. And well, listen, I'm gonna just close down some of these other websites up here. But as I say, there's lots of stories come out, and in the last couple of days, there's been a little surge in Harley Davidson news. Okay, so one of the big things from Harley Davidson, if I just put this up for you here as well. The Harley Davidson might be rethinking its headquarters or rethinking its office space, maybe even closing down the office space or repurposing it or doing something different with it. And this is the interesting thing for me. Okay, Basic Watkins-Zeitz, the CEO, obviously Harley Davidson, and this has all come out of the post post COVID era, I suppose, where everybody was, working from home. And the thing is, it depends where you are, which companies you're at, which countries you live in. Lots of people still working from home. So there are two sides to this coin. Two sides. It's basically. Let me just do this. So it's whether people are more productive still working from home or not. And a lot of people seem to think it is. But you got other companies who actually want people to get back into the office, get back into the workplace, and not work from home, and just start connecting with people, start interacting with people, start, bouncing ideas off each other as opposed to being remote. So I think it's very particular. It really depends what your role is, what your job is, and what you're doing. But yeah, Joaquin Zeitz here is basically taken the opportunity to say, look, if people want to still work from home, they can work from home as long as they're productive. And this is kind of reading between the lines here, or what he's saying. And I kind of don't disagree. I think, yeah, if you've got a role where you are computer based, you can work in isolation, you can do a Zoom call, a Teams meeting, whatever, and you could do like your staff meetings from remote locations. Why not? This also applies to people who were employed during the pandemic phase where people were expected to work at home. And they're saying, well, you can't just expect people to return to work. There's General Motors. I think they tried to, in the article here, it says General Motors tried to get people to come back to work, or force people to come back to work. And there was a bit of a backlash. So they basically, had a little compromise and said, no, you don't have to do it. Whereas Tesla company, they're basically saying, no, we want you back into work. So it really depends which company you're at, which state you're working in, which country you're working in, what the emphasis here. But the interesting thing about Harley Davidson is that they're saying, well, if you don't come to work, as a lot of other companies realize, well, we don't need this office space. We don't need to use it. We can use either use it for something else, or we just let it go. We close it down. Now, when we talk about closing down the headquarters at Harley Davidson, we are really talking about closing down the office space. Now, are they going to knock it down or anything like that? No, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything like that. And there's nothing suggested like that. But certainly closing down the use of it, closing down its existing use, an office space. And yeah, I mean, it goes into the whole article here, and this is from BNN Bloomberg. But say if you do your searching around, lots and lots of magazines have actually talked about this. A lot of financial magazines, mostly, have talked a bit about this as well. But they go into say, what Joaquin Zeitz's his thoughts on this, or the thoughts of the future, and talking about different different theories or different attitudes towards this. But he's very much in favor of saying, well, look, if people are working from home, they should continue to work from home. And I would tend to agree. I've got to say, I would tend to agree with the fella there. If you're working from home and you are productive, this is the most important thing. If you are productive, yes. If you're not, then obviously it's not going to work. But I think there's got to be allowances for people. No, and I think it works on many different levels. You don't have traffic congestion or reduced congestion. You're reducing emissions of people trying to get into work. You can start, let's say, more flexi time, let's say. It's better for your home life in certain respects. It depends what situation you got. If you can isolate yourself at home away from the rest of the family, let's say, it's not ideal for everybody. I know lots of people who hate working from home. They miss that interaction as well. So I think it's a case of not having to force people to work, but if they want to return, great. If they don't, they don't. But I think there's a case now to a lot of companies, certainly here in the UK, to reduce office space and make it like a hot desk that you can go into work and just not have your designated desk. You do hot desking, and that's possibly the way to go. Okay, so that's one thing. But here is the next story from Visor Down. I'm going to big up Visor Down, and this is just coming. And it's all about Harley Davidson, and it's all about this. Well, it's all about Harley Davidson, but it's all about this motorcycle here, the Pan America. Now, if you remember, I've always said about the Pan America, and I've said for a long, long time, that what the rumor has been for a long, long time is that, or the sources that I've had, or the feedback that I've had from wherever I'm getting my information from, right? Let's put it that way, is that Harley Davidson were looking to develop the Revolution Max engine for various models and to start releasing models with smaller engines, right? Whatever they are, 975s, we've already seen that, from the 1250 to the 975 in the Nightster. The Pan America was saying, okay, well, they've got the Pan America and the Pan America S with a 1250 engine. Really nice bike if you like it, whether you like the design features or not. But I've ridden it, really nice bike, so it's great. However, I've always said that actually they're also looking at a smaller engine in it. Right. Now, here's where it got really interesting, is that Visordown also have reported that lots of product codes have been coming up with various accessories, let's say, various parts, and they're coming up with product codes for a particular bike. And the particular bike is an RA975. So, RA975s, could be, for this Pan America as well. So also we know that the Nightster has got it as well. But the interesting thing that, and it's not just one source now, I've actually read it in few different places here as well, and it's kind of confirms what I'd already thought, or what I reported as a rumor quite a few months ago now, that Pan America could indeed be coming out with a smaller engine. Now, if it turns out to be the 975, yeah, because that would kind of compete with other mid-range Harley Davidson's, mid-range smaller adventure bikes, like the KTM 890s, that kind of thing. And the Triumph 900, that kind of thing. Whether the 975 is a bit too close to the 1250 for me, I'm not 100% sure. I possibly think that maybe even a smaller engine might be better served in a kind of reduced weight scenario. However, maybe a detuned Revolution Max engine, maybe the 975 is the way to go. So look, this is the story, the breaking story here, that Harley Davidson with the Pan America, they're looking at a new variant of the Pan America, and essentially, it's unclear. It's unclear. Apparently, the design is going to stay the same, but some of the features may change. Some of the design features, let's say, the aesthetics, and a lot of the parts apparently that are quoting the Pan America as a code with the 975 engine. They're talking about different accessories, that changing accessories. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're kind of looking at a sleeker version, a version that's probably a little bit more lightweight, possibly one that isn't as off-road capable. Perhaps, I don't know. So it might have a bit of urban adventure bike styling rather than off-road. Now, I could be completely wrong here. This could be, all singing, all dancing, off-road capable bike. There is another story that came out this week as well, and I won't show you the website. I can't remember what it was. I've actually deleted it now, unfortunately. But they're basically saying that the global market for dirt bikes right now is about $9 billion. They're forecasting in the next 10 years for that to explode, to double, literally, and it to go to $18 billion. So the off-road sector, the dirt bike world in all its different various guises, adventure bike and motocross, enduro, whatever, track racing, whatever it is, it's going to get even more and more popular. And if you're talking about a sort of, getting off the beaten track and just getting away from society a little bit and just, trying to breathe a bit of fresh air, as it were, these are the perfect bikes. So if Harley Davidson per se are going to bring out another bike, And actually, a smaller Pan America is probably the way to go. And I've been saying for a long time that's what they should do. Then I started hearing a few months ago that could happen. Now others are starting to report it as well. So look, I'm not saying that you heard it here first, but you did hear it here first. But it's interesting now that other sources are actually recording this, and they're actually giving you the reasons why, because a lot of these product codes are coming out there as well. So there we go. The pictures I'm showing you here are of the standard Pan America with a 1250 engine. These aren't the 975. Okay, these are not the 975. These are the 1250 engines. But I thought, this is all coming from Harley Davidson. They're in the news this week about all sorts of things, still the ongoing FTC issues and various companies or class action suits, let's just say, going against them, the whole warranty debacle. But the big thing there is, what are they going to do with their head office or how are they going to reuse them or reuse the space? And are they going to close down the offices completely? Are they going to close down the offices? They're going to bulldozer it, knock it all down, start again? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. But certainly, the new bikes for 2023. And this is where, Harley Davidson can take a real leap forward. Whereas I thought that Harley Davidson were lagging behind Indian, really lagging behind Indian. But actually, what they've done is that they've kind of come back a lot stronger. Yes, setting aside the whole COVID thing and parts supply issues and all that kind of stuff, which is affecting everybody, right? Affecting all manufacturing. But I think with the Revolution Max engine, they really came to town. They really came to the party and started delivering. And now, I think 2023 could see a real expansion of this Revolution Max engine into lots of other models and really knocking the competition for 6. And I think if they start targeting real emerging markets or popular markets, popular size engines, popular size styles of bikes, I think they could be onto a winner and do really well. I mean, it's all ifs and buts, isn't it? Of course. But anyway, so that is the news. That is the news from today. This is your Friday live show. Well, I say lots of new bikes, lots of new interesting developments here, both here around Europe and the United States and other parts of the world as well. But I think, Indian motorcycle might be having problems in producing bikes or delivering bikes. I think all manufacturers, you expect a delay here, unless they have the stock there and there. Harley Davidson as well, still expensive bikes, just as a lot of these manufacturers are. But they've got a lot of stock. And possibly that stock is where you're going to go to buy a Harley Davidson, a used one. And they're going to try and charge you a lot of money now because there isn't a lot of product there, new product, or there's the time frame to get a new bike might not be there. So, your first bike, might be a used one. And I think, well, in many ways, that's not new. That's always been the case. If you can't afford a brand new one, you're going to go to a used bike market, aren't you? Whether you go to a dealership for that, I mean, maybe their business model or dealership's business model is really going to change. It's going to change from having your boutique area where you're just, selling brand new bikes to very few people, but most of your sales are going to be from used bikes. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the way it goes. Let's get into some of these comments now and see how we go. Federico, hello, audio and video. Okay, I'm so glad. I'm hopeful that it's coming through a lot better these days. I've managed to work my magic and sprinkle some internet dust on the setup I've got here. So hopefully it's working a lot better for you. James, the local Honda dealer here in southeastern Ohio, says they're having problems getting new bikes and parts. I think, James, this is for all motorcycle manufacturers. Well, in fact, all manufacturers of electrical, automotive, it's all the same. Yeah, I would say all the same. I did a zero demo day, very fun day. Yeah. I'm kind of looking forward to it myself. So I've been a big fan of Zero for a number of years. I've got to say, on what they've done. I'm not a fan of the price point. I'm not a fan of the range, of course, but it's an ever improving picture. But I think, these are expensive bikes. I mean, out of my price range. But I think, if they came down a bit, certainly an interesting proposition. Federico, I hope Harley has solved the problems of the 1250 America. They've had a few teething issues, haven't they? But as I've always said, that's always been, it's always going to be the case of a first year, second year bike, and then I'm sure they would sort it out there as well. Here we go. The drive of the Pan America Special 1250 is gone. Oh, sorry, the price. The price is gone from 23,295 to 26,395 euros in 2022. Yeah, Pan Am Special Vivid Black with Y wheels and AR and AR. Oh, active rider height, isn't it? Adjustable rider height in the Netherlands. Wow. Yeah, I mean, again, I think a lot of that to do with import taxes as well. I also think because there's a difference in there as well. But yeah, all the prices have gone up. Crazy, really. Yeah. So you've already said that. So I mean, interesting. It's an interesting thing with the prices, what people think of them, and I think maybe there's an attitude change now. Maybe there's an awareness from lots of people to say, well, yeah, these may be aspirational prices. I'm not just talking about Harley Davidson here, and I'm not just talking about Indian. I'm talking about Honda. I'm talking about Triumph, BMW. Any manufacturer, Kawasaki, Suzuki, any manufacturer that is selling higher end bikes or bikes in their, the higher end, their price point, and their prices are really expensive these days for the most part. And, this is where I keep on saying that watch out for the Chinese motorcycle manufacturers, for the Indian motorcycle manufacturers, for the Koreans, and some boutique design houses from Europe, let's say, who are going to be producing smaller bikes, but ever improving quality and design featured bikes for a much lower price point. So watch out, watch your backs, everyone, manufacturers. All I can say, because look, you've got to always pay attention to the economics, and you've got to pay attention to what people can afford and what the feeling of people, how they fear for the future in terms of finances. And there's lots of uncertainty. But there we go. Morris, did I get the headstock fitted? Actually, you can't quite see, but the answer is no. But it's actually on the bench. That's a job for tomorrow morning to stick it all in there. It's all. If you saw my video today about my very unique way of greasing bearings as well, it's a bit of fun, really. But it's so it is being put back together there. So that's one less job to think about. And then I think I'm just going to strip. I was debating whether to strip down the forks, but I think I might just do that. Just take a bit of time, strip down the forks, and away I go. But listen, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining the show tonight. I hope you enjoyed that. I say lots of news today. I mean, I was going to do a show on Wednesday, but I thought, you know what? Let me just hold off to the end of the week, see what develops. I'm pleased I did, because I think the news that Harley Davidson are coming out with a smaller engine on the Pan America, just the thought of it is kind of exciting to me, and it just shows that Harley Davidson as a manufacturer, they can start thinking logically about these things, and I think they can do some good things. So what I would like to see actually is Indian use their FTR bike and actually start making a really decent adventure bike as well. They've got their rally version, but I think do something a little bit more there as well, in a kind of mid-range price point as well, and mid-range engine output as well. But I think it'd be interesting times. I think Harley Davidson are going to have an interesting 2023. I don't think it's going to be as doom and gloom as a lot of people think. I think if they get the price points right, if they get the model right, if they appeal to a lot of people, and if they got a massive massive network of dealerships all around the world, of course, if they can pump out those used bikes just to keep the dealerships going at least, But the manufacturer, they're going to be want to selling bikes, aren't they? So they got to look at models that they think they're going to move. The Nightster, as we said a couple of weeks, week or so ago, when they got the recall on that, they've only sold about 1,000 globally, I think it is. So it'd be interesting to see, if how many more sales they get, and if this Pan America, smaller Pan America, if it's a more usable adventure bike for a lot of people. I think the 1250 is still going to be the powerhouse for the longer distance touring and everything. But if you want a sort of shorter distance, if you want something that's a bit more lighter, a bit more capable in terms of the off-road setting, maybe if that's the way they go, or they produce two variants, like a more off-road version, like a special but a proper off-road, and then a more urban version. Yeah, let's see if they come out with a Street Fighter, their Bronx, as they've been talking about that. But Kevin, good evening. Yep, a smaller Pan should sell well. I would say so. I really do. I think it'd be a decent. I mean, I'm not. Sorry, I am a fan of the Pan America as it is now, the 1250. I'm just a fan. Sorry, I'm just not a fan of big adventure bikes in challenging off-road settings. So I think smaller bikes are much better. But I think having a smaller adventure bike will bring it into line with lots of the other manufacturers who are producing mid-range bikes. And I think happy times for Harley Davidson if they do it. If they hit the price right, they don't have to be cheaper, they just have to be competitive. And if they're competitive on price, and also they because Pan America has got largely a good following and a good reputation. Surprised many people within the industry, many pundits, many observers, many people who bought them, who've ridden them, and I've ridden it, and I'm pretty impressed. Yes, I'm not worried by the teething problems that the Pan America has had. I'm sure it's very frustrating for the owners, but I'm not worried by it at all, because that's to be expected. But I think a smaller version would be good. Right. Anyway, listen, this is Friday night live show, Friday evening, early evening live show. I'm going to have a nice glass of wine and with some dinner as well. Go and enjoy your evenings. Go and enjoy your afternoons. Go enjoy your mornings wherever you are in the world. And if you're watching this later, let us know your thoughts in the comments about, well, all the bikes that I've featured, all the news items that I've featured as well, and Harley Davidson and Indian. Will the battle continue, or basically will Harley Davidson just blow Indian out of the water in 2023? I've got a sneaking feeling that they might, but we'll see. I'm actually heading to an Indian dealership next week, as I say. Going to pop along to this Zero dealership as well. I'm going to try and pop along to the Maving electric dealership, the boutique dealership, and see what see what's what, and hopefully bring a little fly on the wall video for you as well, and see what's what. And I'm looking forward to a couple of winter shows coming up as well, one next month. So yeah, we'll see what's what. But listen, go and enjoy your evening. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the chat here. Yeah, limited chat. I think lots of people are still working as well, or on their way home. But let us know in the comments below. But all I can say is it's been emotional. It's been an evening of news, of bikes, and all there's left to say is this. Good night.